Was muted there. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the daily macro update for Tuesday, December 23rd. My name is Johnny Zerdy. Welcome to the Macro Optics channel for today, the day before Christmas Eve. Hopefully, everyone is settling down and getting ready for the holidays here. But today, we finally received the Q3 GDP preliminary numbers, which we didn't get in October because of the government shutdown. And it was a surprise to Main Street, who doesn't really track a lot of the things that are going on in the yield curve, as well as ignored all of the growth acceleration signs, things that we've been talking about on this channel for the past couple months, looking at all the different things that we look at, which we'll get into. But for people who watch this channel, it should not be a surprise that we had this large acceleration in growth. We've been getting leading signals of this, specifically in the yield curve, as well as the price markets, right? I mean, we're back almost at S&P 500 all-time highs here, and the VIX just hit a historical low. So I don't know what else to tell you other than that. Actually, right now, it looks like the S&P 500 is about to make new all-time highs. And so this is the reason why over the past couple weeks we were talking about, this is a dip buying opportunity. Do not go bearish on the markets because of what we're seeing right now, right? We never saw credit spreads widen. We never saw how the volatility index closed above 19 on that recent dip. And a lot of the different things that were flashing red, although there are things that did lose trend, such as Nvidia and others, there was a whole other half of the market that remained in extreme bullish trend. Specifically, the big winner, the one that we've been talking about for pretty much the entire month of December, is platinum. Look at this thing. I mean, just gone straight vertical. And, in our community, we've been talking about this for a little while. But what I do want to highlight is just something that we took advantage of on the second of the month, right? So this is on 12/2. Ever since December 2nd, this is up over 38%. Just to take a look at when we call this out initially as a buy in our actionable ideas was on December 2nd here, along with some others that I have blotted out here that I have redacted. But as you can see, PPLT was right in there along with some others. And this is really what's included in a lot of our call outs that we do that comes out every single morning before the market opens up. And so, yeah, seeing that platinum was giving signs during this little consolidation phase at the beginning of the month, if you did not capitalize on this, you need to like really think about, you know, how you are approaching these markets, because there's always a bull market somewhere. You just have to know where to look. Somebody asks in the chat, but why are we risk off, especially in crypto? Well, it depends what you mean. I mean, just because crypto is down doesn't mean that the broader market isn't also down, right? Stop only just, thinking that you can only invest in crypto and SPY. There are other things to buy, right? Who cares that crypto hasn't been going forward? There's been tons of other things to get long. And that's why, that's why we make our content and why we have our community, is because while you're waiting on things to consolidate and things that haven't moved, which Bitcoin, what, for the entire year so far is, let's see, let's go to Bitcoin. Let's go to percentage and then year to date. Yeah, Bitcoin is down almost 6% year to date in 2025. Meanwhile, let's compare this to something like not even platinum, right? Let's just go to gold. Yeah, gold is up 69% compared to Bitcoin's -6. And so the whole point of macro is to point you to things that are just going to keep making you money, because you have to get out of your own way with being attached to these 3-digit or 4-digit tickers, right? Some of them can be 1 or 2 digits, but you know what I'm saying. You cannot be tied to these things. When something's in a bearish trend, do not own it, or else you're going to miss out. And ultimately, your portfolio is going to be flat or even down on the year. because you decided to just go with, what the narrative was saying instead of looking at what the data is suggesting. And the whole point of this too is to not only preserve our capital from inflation, which, even though headline CPI is, in between like 2.6 to 3%, when you take a look at the individual components of CPI, those are the things that you and I pay for, like food, as well as durable goods, as well as shelter. All those things are way above 2%, more around 4%, right? So for most of the things that we pay for, if you're not at least getting 4% returns like on the year on your entire portfolio, I'm not talking about individual positions, but the entire portfolio. If you're not at least getting 4% on your entire net worth every single year, then you're losing to inflation. All right. And then it's even worse if you lose money. So that's why for us, the number one rule is don't lose money. Right. And this is really what's happening. The new playbook here post pandemic, when we have higher than average inflation rates, higher than average interest rates, you're going to have more aggressive volatility swings. And you can't just, you know, spray and pray on a lot of these cryptocurrencies anymore. It's not, there might come a time where that might work. But as of right now, for those who pay attention and incorporate macro with technical analysis, with fundamental analysis, I'm not saying get rid of your other strategies. I'm saying incorporate, supplement it with macroeconomics. That's how we're helping investors in our community. Which again, if you want signals like this, I know we sent out a free email with our call outs and actual ideas this morning to those who subscribe. But if you'd like to have free access to this every single day for the next 6 weeks, we still have our 6-week macro mastery challenge. We still have a few spots left over. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, you can schedule a time on my calendar, and you and I can speak one-on-one about it to see if it's something that would fit for you. Now, this ends on December 31st, right? So I really only have 4 more days before the end of the year before this promotion ends, and then after the 31st, it goes back to the normal the normal scenario. And so with this, at least you get 6 weeks access. If you complete it, it's essentially for free. But yeah, I would highly recommend you guys take advantage of this, especially if it's like you want something different in 2026 than 2025 and you don't want to fall for the same mistakes. I would highly recommend that you guys take advantage of this. Hey, Remy, what's up, dude? But that's enough promotion for our group here. You'll never see me shill cryptocurrencies. You'll never hear me shill something just because of a narrative. Everything is data dependent. And so if you guys can appreciate that, then I appreciate you sticking around for these rants. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to the data here. Taking a look at the GDP numbers, the updated ones for 2025, we just had a 4.3% handle on Q3 of 2025. Now, you have to remember with the growth rate numbers that come out, these aren't necessarily the growth rate for that specific quarter. It's the entire annualized rate updated on a quarterly basis. So for the entire year of 2025, as of Q3, it's at 4.3%, right? It doesn't mean that it's 4.3% for Q3, if that makes sense, right? So when you get the Q3 numbers, it includes Q1, Q2, and Q3. It's the most updated annualized number. That's how the GDP print works. It's not like the other things that we get like CPI where it's that specific month or quarter. Does that make sense? Somebody asked, how do you join the Macro Mastery Challenge? If you're on Instagram or TikTok, you can go to my bio link and you can click on the link there and book a time on my calendar. For those who are on YouTube, just go to the description below. You'll see a link down there that says, join the Macro Mastery Challenge. You can book a time there. So good question. So this was, for a lot of people, especially in mainstream media, this was a surprise to the upside growth rate report. But as you guys know, when looking at the yield curve, look at this steepening that's been going on ever since really the beginning of November. And this right here is an indicator that my team and I created. This is our yield curve phase signal indicator in TradingView. It's completely for free. If you guys want to just search me on TradingView, just search Johnny Zerdy. you'll see this there. And again, it's for free. But essentially, how this indicator works is that each phase of the yield curve is color coded. As well as in the top right hand corner of the screen, you have a little table that shows the current phase, like the broader phase, the phase that just came out of, because the phase transition is very important. That's like the context of the change in the yield curve, what it's signaling. And then you also have a 1 week, 1 month, and 3 month performance, which I like to pay attention to the 3 month performance because that gives you a better idea as well on like the trend going forward, right? But as you can see, with it being orange right here, we color code that for what's called a bear steepening, which is when the long end of the curve is rising or accelerating faster than the short end of the curve, which in this case, it's a very strange scenario where you're getting an acceleration in the long end of the curve and a deceleration in the short end of the curve, meaning growth is accelerating as the Fed is cutting rates. And because the yield curve is a forward signal, that's what it's looking at right here. And so, what did the future market do with that knowledge? Look, for the probabilities for the January 28th meeting, it just switched from just 80% of a chance of a pause yesterday to now almost an 85% chance. So, with that GDP print, you can almost bet that they're not going to cut rates in January of next year, the January 28th meeting, right? Um, and so yeah, that's really what we're seeing right now. And I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of this GDP growth is kind of masked a lot by the printing that's going on by the government. And this signal that we're getting right now, this bear flattening signal by the yield curve, is essentially confirming that the government has won against the Fed, and we are now in a period of what's called fiscal dominance, right? So fiscal dominance is a long-term, very dangerous thing to be in, but short-term, like what we're experiencing right now, you can actually get a little bit of an acceleration in a lot of different prices because that's really where you're just getting liquidity injection and not even considering any type of long-term implications. And so as good as this might feel in the short end, you want to be taking some profits here. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting 2026, that's for sure. Now, taking a look at some of the other data that we got today, we also got the manufacturers' new orders on durable goods. So, durable goods new orders, that continues to accelerate. Manufacturing, non-capital goods, excluding aircraft, this is essentially core capital goods, right? And that continues to rise. Right, this is the highest it's been on a year-over-year rate of change basis since October of 2022. So it's pretty high right now. Industrial production is also accelerating. Industrial production on a year-over-year rate of change basis is the highest it's been since like April of 2022. And then also, what's interesting as well, which might be pointing to the reason why Bitcoin might be having some trouble here, is that M2 actually had a little bit of a slowdown. This is probably the largest deceleration that we've seen since May of 2024. But that November 2025 print for M2 was actually a little bit of a deceleration there, which is interesting. And so, this continues to, give us the thesis of, disinflation continuing while growth is accelerating, which the market for now is going to take that as further signals of a soft landing. And so again, just like my previous short video that I put out on TikTok and Instagram, I got a lot of people in the comments giving me flack saying like, well, you were just bearish the other week. And it's like, yeah, but things change. Right. And I normally don't flip flop like that. But between those two videos, we did get some pretty interesting data there. But yeah, so but that was still, I think that video there was like 2 weeks old or something like that. So pretty heads up, pretty good heads up there. Um, all right. So, what's interesting is you're getting a little bit of a flattening after today, but yeah, we continue to have that phase transition there. All right. So let's go back to taking a look at some of these things that have been doing well. Interesting little pop in Nvidia today. It's trying to get back to bullish trend here, which is interesting. If this happens and we get a rebound in semiconductors, then I wouldn't be surprised if we also, and then as well as if we get Bitcoin rebounding, then we might get another rebound in Bitcoin miner stocks. We'll see about that. Still in a bearish trend though, so not doing anything with that at the moment. But just like we've been talking about, base metals, precious metals, platinum, palladium, copper, um, steel, silver, copper miners. What else here? Gold, obviously. Gold miners. All of those are the best performers right now. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, you still have stablecoin dominance and a bullish trend. So there's not really any change there in terms of a cryptocurrency perspective. Still just waiting and watching. I need to see this in a bearish trend if I want to start getting long Bitcoin. So not seeing that right now. So don't rush it. Don't try and call the bottom. Let these tickers tell you when to invest. You don't have to chase them, right? Act like you don't care. That's how you get them. All right. So, yeah, S&P 500, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. New all-time highs. New all-time highs right before Christmas. I think tomorrow there's actually a half day in the markets. I believe the public markets are open until 1 p.m. Let me see where wanted to see where volatility ended up here. Where is it? Here we go. Oh man. Look at VIX. This was the lowest print since December of last year. Wow. So there you go. You got your Santa rally, ladies and gentlemen. So in the very, very short term, what was today? It was probably one of the best selling days ever. Statistically, there isn't a better time to sell than at all-time highs. So hopefully you were selling a little bit, taking some profits, giving you an early Christmas present there. But we can go ahead and take some questions here. I appreciate everyone's patience yesterday. I know that my internet is finally back now. Thank goodness. And yeah, it was a good year this year. Looking to build a new studio coming up. So that's in the works. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions here. Thoughts on HII? What are my thoughts on it? Well, of course, as always, it's never my thoughts. I always just use my model, and my model is what gives me my thoughts because my thoughts are not trustworthy. I don't know about you, but I'm not a perfect person, and my process is way more accurate than myself. So, whenever you ask, what are my thoughts on this? I'm just going to defer to what our model says about it, which I mean, as of right now, just by looking at this, I don't even have to bring up any indicators. This is clearly in a bullish trend. It's been making a series of higher highs and higher lows for man, since all year. I'm interested. Let's see how this has performed against silver. Let's go to year to date. Okay, well, silver has done better than this stock. Silver is up 142% for the year, while this is up 91%. Pretty good, but silver still the king for 2025. Yeah, I mean, this is a bullish trend. Let's take a look at the trading ranges. Wow, look at that. Close right at the top end of the trading range. What does that mean? It means do not chase this. Hopefully you were selling some if you had some of this. Yeah, this is like the time to take some profits if you have this. But no, bullish trend, buy dips. If you bought at the low end of the trading range on 11.21 and 12.5, then you've been sitting pretty. Another very clear buy was right here um on September 25th. So that was still in a bullish trend as it's making a series of higher highs and higher lows there. Went right to the low end of the trading range. Same thing as September 9th. This is why this tool is so valuable because it tells you exactly when to buy. I'm just giving you a hard time, Missy Lane. I appreciate the questions there. Is it too late to invest in silver? I mean, silver remains in a bullish trend, but you know, something like SLV, which is our team's preferred silver ETF. I mean, this has just been continuously closing near the top end of the trading range. I mean, really since the end of November. So this thing has just been on a rip. And yeah, I mean, I've had this at a minimum position pretty much since the beginning of the month. And there really hasn't been, well, the only buying opportunity that was a real nice one was on December 12th, but it still wasn't even at the low end of the trading range. So I mean, you know, yeah, I've just been letting this thing ride. There hasn't really been a great buying opportunity, but to answer your question, frankly, according to our process, um, yeah, this isn't a time to start aping into silver. You would want to wait for a pullback here. You got to look for other trends at this point. I don't know if this is a real comment, but I'll still answer it. Um, I have inherited 10K money. I haven't invested anything yet. Should I buy Bitcoin now or wait for dip? Well, it's been dipping and Bitcoin's in a bearish trend. I can't tell you what to do with your money because I'm not a financial advisor. But when it comes to our process, whenever something is in a bearish trend, I don't buy it. So I will just be patient until it becomes bullish trend. And then once it does become a bullish trend, I'm not buying right then and there as well. I'm letting it confirm and then have a little bit of a dip before I buy it myself. So if you do want actual Bitcoin alerts on when my team and I are buying it once it becomes bullish trend again, that's where you gain access to that type of information as a service um, in our community. So good question though. Yes, it is real. Yeah, take that as you how you want. Again, I can't give you direct financial advice. I can only defer to what my process tells us to do when something's in a bullish trend. Okay. I have gold and miners, but do you think it's too late to get into other metals? Which other metals are you referring to? How about semiconductors made in USA? I'm not sure which ones are made in USA, but I mean, if you take a look at something like SMH, which is the my team's preferred semiconductor ETF, you can see that this has kind of been going sideways. I mean, it made a nice um, higher low right here. Oh, Remy just stepped on the keyboard. So I don't know what he just pulled up. Remy just pulled up the Japanese yen, FXY, great short. What were we just looking at? Oh yeah, SMH. So yeah, I mean, this does look like it could be having a breakout here. it did form this higher low. Um, Volume has been dropping off this week though. So I mean, still, this isn't a chase at all, especially when it's near the top end of the trading range on lower volume. If anything, this is a great consolidation period to sell some. You know, Curious what volume did this week with the S&P. Yeah, so it kind of looks similar with the SPY, right? You had this bounce here to new all-time highs on lower volume. That is technically a bearish divergence. Now, a bearish divergence doesn't mean that I'm bearish on the market, right? If you take a look at the background, what color is the bookshelf? It's still green and it's been remaining green. It's still bullish. But when something is in a bullish trend and it reaches the top end of the trading range on lower volume, that is a sell signal, a classic sell some signal. Not sell all of it because you want to maintain a core position in things that are bullish, but just pay yourself a little bit. Taking a little bit off the top when it's had a nice run does two functions. One, it allows you to de-risk a little bit in case it does, have a price drop, right? You can lock in some profits there. But then also two, once you do get that dip and it's a buying opportunity, then you're actually compounding your original position because you just sold a little bit off the top and then you re-entered a little bit lower. Buy low, sell high. What do you think about tokenized funds or stocks? Um, not not really sure what to even say about that. I don't know. Intel. Yeah, I mean, questions like that where it's like, what do you think about, this narrative, tokenized funds? How do you feel about this new technology? It's like I don't really care to be honest. Like I'm just gonna have bullish trends in my portfolio and that's it. Everything outside of that is kind of just like story time for me, entertainment, and I'm just not big with like investing in narratives at all, you know, especially if it's not in line with my process or what it's signaling as bullish trend. So I mean, I don't mean to shoot down your question at all. It's just for a rule of thumb, like if you're ever asking about like specific type of things that you may have seen on Twitter that might sound like a good narrative. Like for example, I think it was like last year. It was like I kept getting asked the question, "What do you think about the BRICS nations, taking over and the dollar going to zero?" Remember that huge like craziness that happened the other year? I think it was either 2024 or 2023. But everyone thought the dollar was about to like crash, and and that like the BRICS nations were going to take over in terms of like a new reserve currency or something like that. Never happened. Dollar's still king. The entire world's oil is still priced in dollars. The petrodollar is still alive, you know. And even back then I was like, I don't really care. Is the dollar bullish or bearish trend? That's all that really matters. US dollar over yuan. Are you talking about the Chinese yuan? Um I looked at that in a little while. I don't really trade currency pairs like that, but we can take a look. Looks like it's in a bullish trend versus the dollar. I'm up on quantum ETF, but not sure if it's a bubble. I mean, it's probably a bubble, but who cares? Just take some profits, buy it when it's lower. If the yuan dollar is more bullish than the US dollar, well, the BRICS can remove the US dollar. Dude, is that I think that's a joke. That's a joke question from what I just said. Can you list the top 3 bullish trends of 2026? Well, I can't see the future, so there's no way to know that unless I have a time machine that goes to the end of 2026, and then I can tell you in retrospect. But, I can tell you that, precious metals are the big winners heading into 2023. Um, and then in terms of the most strongest trending, sector right now heading into 2026, I would say it's financials, which is interesting. It was a complete flip from what we saw from the middle of September till, just, at the end of November there. So pretty interesting flip. But, yeah, I would just say, the financial sector, as well as precious metals. OXY in bearish trend. The heck is OXY? Yeah, bearish trend. All right. Let's go. Let's take a look at some of the questions here potentially on TikTok, and then we'll go ahead and end it here. All right, we'll go ahead and end it there. There weren't any questions there on TikTok, but I appreciate everyone for joining. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, and we'll still go live tomorrow for Christmas Eve. It'll probably be a very short show. We might not actually. We'll see, but if not, then I hope that everyone has a fantastic Christmas. Got to make sure that we keep in mind that with all the commercialization that's out there, the entire holiday is for celebration of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without Him, there is no point. And so, yeah, let's keep Christ in Christmas, everyone. But I appreciate everyone for joining, and we will catch you next time. Bye.